Hi, this is Paul with PJM Incorporated, author of the book, The Business of Home Inspection. Today, I want to talk briefly about HVAC systems, and I want to speak directly about home inspections and HVAC systems. So when you guys are inspecting the home and you get to the HVAC system, obviously you want to take photos and you want to make sure that you log accurate information. And how you do that basically is maybe take 2 or 3 photos of the condenser, 2 or 3 photos of the air handling unit. Make sure you get really legible photos of the data information so that you can accurately describe the year it's manufactured, the brand, size, and so on. But one thing that I noticed that a lot of inspectors do and a lot of inspectors don't do, both sides, is some inspectors will go the extra step and actually look underneath the coil at the air handler unit to see if it's dirty or not, and actually will check the coil to see what it looks like at the air handling unit whenever possible. If you're not doing this, let me tell you why it's a really good idea. Number one, it's a great way to determine whether or not the system has been properly maintained. There's a lot of times where you're inspecting a system and you go and you look underneath to look at the coil, and you see it's got a bunch of dirt and dust and gook on there, definitely affecting airflow. And you want to be able to convey that information in your inspection report, because even if the unit's cooling well, when you check it during your inspection, if your people move in there and just like a month or so later something fails, one of the first things they're going to hear from their air condition person is, did your inspector tell you so on, so on, so on? And those of us who are veterans in the business and have been doing it as long as I have know that happens enough. And if it happens in certain environments, it could cost you a relationship perhaps with your realtor, or it can cost you a relationship with your buyer who's going to be upset and wonder why you didn't let them know this. Now, another reason why it's really important is because when you can see the condition of the coils, you can identify whether they're copper coils or aluminum coils. You can identify the condition of those coils, what they look like. If there's any concerns there, you can photograph this stuff and make it part of your HVAC system section of your report. It'll make it that much more accurate. There's some coils that there was some legal action taken against back in 2014. Now, if you're not, with Lennox particularly, I believe that was who it was, but if you're not opening up an air handler unit to look at the coils, and you've got something from 2014, and you look in there and you see these coils are in really bad shape, you're going to put that in your report. That's going to be a plus for your client. Being informed that you know about the lawsuit with Lennox in 2014, I believe it was. It covers, I think, a couple of years. But also, think of how much your clients will appreciate that, because if there's any recourse for them, they may be able to go through that class action settlement. So when you're looking at coils and you'll be able to tell whether it's maintained properly or not, you'll be able to tell whether or not there's some kind of corrosive stuff going on at your metals. These are all important things. But another thing that's really important too, imagine just for a moment, if you're one of these people that are photographing the condenser and the air handling unit, but you're not getting your eyes on the coils, and you're reporting in your report that the unit is 20 years old, and that's where it ends. You've got a 20-year-old unit, and that's what you put in your report. Well, folks, I can't tell you how many times over the last 17 years or so that I've come across a situation where the outside manufacturer's information was not representative of what was going on inside. For example, an air handling unit, we've had them where we've had blower motors and coils replaced recently. In fact, they're a year old or so. So imagine how much more respected you will be, and actually how much better of a job you will be doing if you take the extra step to take a look at the coils, because you'll be able to see the condition of them. You'll be able to recognize any lack of maintenance, but you'll also be able to determine whether or not they've been replaced. You'll be able to document that as well. So like if you have an air conditioning system that appears to be 20 years old, but the internals have been replaced, coils, blower motor, compressor, these are things that matter. So through documentation, I'm sure that the homeowner can provide that for the buyer. But imagine just for 1 second how it reflects on you as an inspector. Just imagine for a second how valuable that information is for your client, but not only that, their impression of you. They're going to walk away from that experience with you looking at you like you did an excellent job. You went above and beyond, and you did, because it's outside the scope of most home inspections when you do this stuff, but it is part of what a good inspector does. So there's going to be times where you're going to apply yourself and you're going to wonder, should I do this? Should I not do this? Well, whenever you have that question bouncing around in your head, think about the long-term result if you do something. If you inspect something that's traditionally outside the scope of an inspection, down the road, is it going to harm you? Is it going to hurt you? Is it something that you should do or not do? And if so, why? Well, with this particular subject, with the air conditioning system, you'll be able to demonstrate the condition of the units at the exterior, the age, manufacturer's dates, all that stuff, whether or not it's got a good temperature differential. And by the way, guys, if you're not taking a picture of your numerical readings on your infrared to show your split, that's a big mistake too. You should be demonstrating the units working and what the temperature differential is. And the reason you do that is, quite honestly, it looks good in the report. It shows that you did a really good, thorough job, and it illustrates to your client that the system's working. But if something should go wrong and you get a call 30 days after the inspection saying my air conditioner's not working, you didn't check it, or you said it was working and it wasn't, it's great to be able to go back to the report that you write and then take them through that air conditioning section. Imagine what that looks like. You've got clear photographs of the equipment. You've got the serial numbers and model numbers. You got a photograph of underneath the coil. You got a photograph of the coil itself. And you got pictures of the actual temperature differential as it was the day you were there. Now, when you do stuff like that, there's very little anybody could do to argue with you to make a point that you did not do a thorough job. In fact, it will turn that person around. They may not be happy with the fact that you were able to prove that you did a thorough job and it did in fact work when you were there. But after they get over that initial annoyance of having a unit that's not working, you're going to end up looking pretty good. And you'll probably salvage the relationship with whoever the real estate people were involved with that as well. Because if the realtor is contacted first, guess what? The next call they're making is to you. So if you're going to be able to walk the real estate agent through the report and show them, hey, look, I did a thorough job here. Look, here's 4 pages for the HVAC system, showing you all these photographs, giving you all this information. I went above and beyond. You could see the coils, you could see under the coils, and you could see the temperature differential and what the temperatures were at the time I inspected the home. That's the type of experience that you want to have more often than not, and that you should have. Because if you're going to be approaching your career as a professional, nothing sells you as a professional better than the report you put together. Because it's not always the initial read of the report that matters. Very often, they'll be looking at that report a couple months down the road, and that's where you end up really shining. So if you do a great job, a thorough report, and in this case, we're talking about HVAC systems. So if you do what I'm telling you, more often than not, you're going to end up having a great reputation, and you're going to be bulletproof, because no one's going to be able to say that a system wasn't working when you were there. No one's going to be able to say that you didn't do a thorough HVAC inspection. This is Paul with PJM Incorporated. I want to thank you for listening, and I hope this segment helps you.